Hey guys, thank you for checking out my channel. I'm Christina with Ask a Montessorian. We are opening a Montessori school here in beautiful Prescott, Arizona, amidst the most gorgeous pine trees. We're sharing a property with Trinity Presbyterian Church. I wanted to create this video. A friend of mine suggested I create it. And what we are going to talk about is the difference between early childhood education, so for instance a preschool, and a Montessori preschool. So some of the key differences are in a preschool, some of the preschools that, like for instance, I worked with one in Flagstaff. They received grant money from a foundation called Quality First. And in order to qualify for their grant money, they had to have an area for dress up. So, for example, they had costumes like a police officer, a nurse, a fireman, and the children would dress up and put these things on. In a traditional Montessori classroom, I use the word traditional, I also mean authentic. So if the teacher is trained, usually AMI, but sometimes AMS, they will most likely not have a dress-up station in their classroom. I have come across Montessori schools who do receive funding from Quality First, and they're required to have this in their classroom. I, however, am not going to have this in my classroom because it takes away from the other subject areas that I would like to concentrate on. It takes a large section of space in my classroom to set up this dress-up area. I already have limited space. Some of the subjects that you would see in a traditional Montessori classroom are practical life, sensorial, music, art, culture, language, mathematics, science, more specifically botany and geography. A well-equipped Montessori classroom is going to have materials that provide, it's called a prepared environment, and when the children are receiving consistent lessons with these materials, chances are they will test well above and beyond kindergarten and sometimes beyond first grade, because we start out with addition, then we go to multiplication, we do subtraction, and then we go to division. Whereas in a traditional kindergarten classroom, usually they do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then sometimes they don't even introduce multiplication or division in kindergarten. They wait until further on, second, third grade, sometimes fourth grade. And so we introduce advanced math as early as 4 years old. The pink tower is an indirect preparation for geometry and algebra. The tiniest cube in the pink tower is 1/1000th of the large cube on the bottom. So a 2.5-year-old could be receiving a lesson on the pink tower. And that's part of sensorial. In a preschool, the preschool that I observed had one lesson a week, and it was based on the clouds. And they talked about, this is a very advanced preschool, mind you. They have a reputation for preparing the children very well for kindergarten. So one lesson a week, a group of between 4 and 10 children would sit down at the table with the teacher. So there's one large table, and she was giving a lesson on the Arctic, and she was talking about clouds, and she did use some advanced vocabulary like cumulonimbus and stratus, which was impressive. They do a family tree at the beginning of every year. They bring in pictures from home. They talk about their families. They talk about their cultures. So in Montessori, I give anywhere from 5 to 15 lessons a day 1 lesson a week, or 5 to 15 lessons a day, and we focus on the skills that the children need to be successful, regardless of the area that they choose to pursue. So reading, writing, and arithmetic are the basic foundation in a Montessori classroom. The 3 R's. The children almost always excel far beyond basic academics because they find what lights their fire. And once they find what lights their fire, I give them pretty quick lessons in the 3 R's, and then I let them spend a majority of their time pursuing their passion. So for instance, if a child needs a math lesson in order to meet state kindergarten standards, I give that quick math lesson, and then I noticed through observation that that child loves the art area. I give the quick math lesson, I give the quick language lesson, I give the quick reading lesson, and then I allow that child to spend the rest of the time in the art area, because for all I know, they could be the next Pablo Picasso. So, yeah, it's beautiful to see a Montessori classroom in action. In a preschool, I observed the child using the Melissa and Doug mop on the window because that child doesn't know that the mop is for the floor. They may very well have an inkling that the mop is for the floor because they've probably seen a parent at home mopping the floor. However, it was chaotic in the sense that the children were randomly working in different areas. They had circles, so the children would go in these, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but the children would work in certain areas of the classroom, and then they would move to another area of the classroom. So for instance, they might be doing the sensory bin and building blocks and working with the cars, and then they would switch over to the art area, and they might do a little science area, and in the science area they might have an ant farm. Those are some things that I've observed in the preschool. In the Montessori classroom, I'm a lesson machine. I am continuously giving one-on-one lessons. I'm observing for concentration. If that child is not prepared to concentrate, I am not giving him or her a lesson, because they have to have their basic human needs met before they can receive a lesson. So I'm observing to see which children are prepared to receive lessons. I'm giving them as many lessons as possible. I am touching upon each child. I am giving a lesson or interacting to a certain degree with each child every day. So I'm touching upon their intelligence every single day. So if I have 45 children, which is the maximum amount that I have capacity for in my classroom, I am giving as many lessons as I can, and I am having a connection with each child every single day. Sometimes it's as simple as giving a handshake to them, answering a question. I keep detailed notes, and I ensure that I am giving consistent lessons to each child in the classroom. I noticed one of the teachers in this preschool taking some notes. I did not get a chance to look at her notes. I do know from a friend of mine who studied early childhood education that when they're taking their college courses, they are encouraged to take notes on the children and to observe their behavior in the classroom. My knowledge is based in Montessori, so I'm not sure what it is that they're observing. I, however, have been trained to observe for bouts of concentration. I'm looking for children who can hold their concentration for significant periods of time. I'm looking for children who have already mastered a lesson and are prepared to go on to the next lesson that's beyond that to challenge them further. I'm looking for children who might need to repeat a lesson that I've already given them because they didn't quite grasp the details of the lesson. They may have been distracted that day. They may have been not quite old enough and prepared for that lesson. So that's why I'm observing every day as well as giving the lessons. I take a little bit of time out of each 3-hour morning work cycle to practice observation. And during that observation time, I'm taking notes and I'm updating my record keeping. We as teachers spend a lot of time, whether you're a preschool teacher or a public school teacher, elementary level, preschool level, we spend a lot of time outside of the classroom working. And so, like, some people say to me, oh, you have, spring break off. You have summer break off. When you're passionate about your classroom, you're spending spring break, summer break, evenings, weekends, mornings. I'm a morning person. I get up extra early. I'm creating materials for my children and I'm coming up with ideas on different lessons that they can have. So I noticed that in the preschool setting, a lot of the teachers that I've observed were very young. Even the lead teacher was in her early 20s at this particular preschool. And when she got off work, I don't know that she brought her work home with her. And when I questioned different things that were going on in the classroom, the response I received was, we don't have the budget for that. So I can understand that she feels like she cannot meet the needs of her children because of budget restrictions. I would encourage a fundraiser in that situation. Yeah. So those are some key differences between a